extra time, waiting for the acolyte. I am gonna catch that fool. You will think I'm really cool. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed.
Hello, Mouse Hunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is May 2nd, 2025. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well today. It feels like it's been a little bit since we've done a Feedback Friday. If I'm not mistaken, I think it may have been 21 days ago was the last Feedback Friday. We're coming up on a month. It's been a little bit of a streak of things going on a Friday. Had a holiday there was in the mix. Last Friday we had a company get together. Actually, we all got together for lunch, and the coolest part being Michelle was able to visit as well. So got to spend time with Michelle. That made it an extra special company get together as well that Friday. I think everybody had a good time. Hopefully everybody in the chat is doing well. Yappy posting some cheese. Welcome on in. Traco, nice to see you. Good morning to you as well. Ari, hello to you, Eric. Salim. Jeremy, long time no see. It has been a minute. Lady Nutsy saying good morning. I'm going to take a sip of that coffee. Put a little coffee in the chat. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. Andres, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Scratching dude, morning to you. YX, looks like you made out like a bandit from the spring egg hunt. Well, congratulations. Get lucky with some mythical dragon hearts. Captain, good morning to you as well. You enjoyed all the beautiful and excellent eggs. Yeah, the spring egg hunt. I think one of the best part about the spring egg hunt is just the ability to make some egg puns for sure. Scratch and do. I hope you're sipping on a delicious coffee. That sounds pretty good to me. Daniel, well, welcome on in. Good day to you as well. Well, on that topic today, there's a couple things I want to touch base on. One, the spring egg hunt. Also, we're going to take a quick little look ahead at the King's giveaway. That's just around the corner, coming next week as well. And as well, check in on the roadmap in general, see how the year's progressing in the world of Mouse Hunt. As it's hard to believe it's May already. Actually, the winter weather is finally subsiding. We've been having some different weather here where we go from a beautiful day, you're outside for a walk, sun shining, it's warm, and then we have, next day it's like 2 degrees, there's some frost on the ground when you wake up. Had some torrential downpour this morning, and now the sun is shining and it looks beautiful. So we've had a little bit of everything here, and I think that's maybe spring in Canada. But the egg hunt is winding down. The shutdown phase of the egg hunt is almost at a conclusion. So as a reminder, you can't be getting any chocolatonium. The eggs have long stopped dropping. For all intents and purposes, the spring egg hunt has come to an end. So that is a good reminder, please, everybody, spend your chocolatonium before May 6th. That is this coming Tuesday. And remember, the event ends on May 6th. So really, if you're looking to wait to the last minute to spend chocolatonium, May 5, that's the date to keep in mind. If you look at the calendar, it says May 5. You better spend that chocolatonium. You're at risk of losing it. Remember, it decays away to nothingness after the event. Your shovels, though, your shovels and your fertilizer to play Egg Sweeper, those all will remain in your inventory to play the Egg Sweeper game next year, assuming it returns. Always open to feedback there if it doesn't make a return, but I think maybe it's too early to say with any certainty, but I think the Egg Sweeper will be back next year. So you can hold on to your shovels and your fertilizer until next year. As well, on mobile, the Lady Lore shop and the Spring Egg Hunt interface, it will be there right up until May 6th when the shutdown phase comes to an end on the browser version of the game. If you play on MouseHunt.com or MouseHuntGame.com, the banner will hide itself when you spend all your Chocolatonium. So if you don't own any Chocolatonium, that banner will hide itself because you can't use Lady Laura's shop any longer. If you would like to play Egg Sweeper, though, you can go to your inventory, and in the description of the item, there's a link you can click, and it opens up the Egg Sweeper game still. So you'll be able to continue to play Egg Sweeper even if that banner is not there on browser for you. Aries Spring Egg Hunt definitely helped you start the floating islands real quick. The eggs in the floating islands they seem especially good. Getting some of that Paragon loot, that feels good for sure. Edward, you had a great event. Glad to hear it. Good morning to you as well, Peter. Your friend Snowbits wants to say hi. Okay, well, hello to Snow. Scratching Dude, you've had spring for a few months already in Norway. Can't remember last time spring was this early. Well, that's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of an early spring. I imagine it gets a little bit chilly in Norway as well as around here too. We had especially rough winter here. It was really cold. I swear January and February, I don't think it got above the freezing mark more than 3 or 4 times. We had some sustained sub-zero temperatures. And there was a lot of snow this year. We had a whole lot of snow. That was made moving around, traveling a little bit of a challenge as well. But sometimes the nice thing about winter is you can kind of just get cozy inside. It's a good excuse, to maybe just stay indoors, watch the movies for a little bit. But we definitely welcome the sunshine returning. Tarako, you loved the scavenger map and their rewards. That's something we've been keeping our ear to the ground for as well, trying to get a feedback, a sense of, what did hunters think about the new egg hunt maps, which are a scavenger hunt style map to track down eggs. Is that something you'd like to see return next year? Are there any particular eggs you think should be removed from any of the maps, whether maybe they didn't feel appropriate for the tier of map, or just in general, they weren't necessarily the most fun or entertaining egg to chase after a map? There's some eggs where it's like, that's fun to get it once for the sake of completionism, but I don't really want to have to get it 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row while you're completing the maps. And to that effect, something like the Shelter egg was not put on maps. Is there any other of those eggs come to mind as well? And it's useful feedback we've been trying to jot down. I think the Gate Guardian egg was one that raised a little bit of discussion, if I'm not mistaken. As well as some of the older eggs. They're a little bit tricky. Their drop rate might be a little bit on the lower side. Are hunters open to maybe having those eggs drop a little bit more frequently now that the maps add a secondary goal to finding eggs, not just kind of completionism or cracking them open? But if some of those eggs, if we do increase how often they drop, would you be okay with lowering the contents that you find inside those eggs? So some of the eggs are particularly rewarding, or they have some good loot in them, and as such, they kind of don't drop very often. And there's other eggs that don't have, a huge quantity of loot inside, but they drop a little more frequently, so it all adds up. There's some eggs it's fun, you crack open just 1 or 2 and you get a lot of items. There's other eggs where they drop frequently and it's more fun. Well, I'm going to open up like 7 of these eggs all at once. You're open to having some of the contents tweaked if we did want to make some of those eggs drop a little bit more frequently. Summer, you loved the spring egg hunt. It was a blast. Save all your eggs till the end. Took you 20 minutes to open them all. I think that's part of the fun as well. Part of the fun is even sometimes just holding on to them to collect. There's some eggs I don't even dare open. I think my shattered eggs. I've been holding on to those for years, and I think all my shattered chests and my shattered eggs, I want to open up those all at once. There's something fun about that. Anticipation is a fun emotion, I'd say. YX would be nice to have 1000th draft derby to the M1K egg content next year. Maybe not. That's a pretty prestigious cheese out there as well. So that's why we stuck to the processors. But we'll see. It was a kind of a fun egg to put a little bit of loot into, but also we gotta be tricky. It's maybe tricky to make sure you can't infinitely sustain the cheese as well. So it's food for thought. Dan, it was Fresh Archduke playing Spring Egg Hunt. It really helped your floating FL journey. Floating Islands. What else are we working with? What's FL? We're pushing my acronym knowledge to the limit. Love the event. Give some older mice some love next year. You'd love to see a reaper egg or an egg with a sickle. But yeah, it sounds like a fun art direction as well. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Often every year we try to assess what would be some fun eggs, and often with Feedback Friday leading it up to Spring Egg Hunt, sometimes we try to get a few ideas as well. Sometimes it's either where the artistic creativity or inspiration lies. Also, we focus on new areas that don't have any eggs as well. Shelter egg is a heartbreaker. Well, that's a particular egg that wouldn't put on that wasn't put on maps. Even the history of that egg, I remember it was a popular player suggestion. And think back many years ago of whether it's Feedback Fridays or reading the forums or discussion boards and what have you. And it's like, what eggs would you like to see? And it was surprisingly a lot of hunters suggested, oh, wouldn't a shelter egg just be so cool? And I think the takeaway we took from that was the suggestion, it could rephrase it more accurately, was it would be awesome to have the shelter egg in my inventory. It's not so fun to go and chase and find the shelter egg, but the idea of the accomplishment sounds nice, but the journey toward the accomplishment maybe wasn't as fun of a suggestion. But, so we kind of keep that in mind as well now when we come up with eggs, that even something that sounds fun or the destination sounds fun, if the journey sounds a little tedious, maybe think twice about it. But it definitely gives it a very distinct identity in the game. It's a memorable egg for sure. Kyle says, lower the quality if they are more guaranteed, but don't change the guaranteed those, if I follow you. So if I get the impression you're okay with an egg's contents being lowered a little bit if the drop rate of it's going to increase. And at the end of the day, after 100 hunts, you should get about the same amount from that egg would be probably our design objective there. It's just a matter of, if it takes 100 hunt and you find one egg and has 100 hunts in it, 100 items in it, versus imagine you find the egg every single hunt. So after 100 hunts, you have 100 eggs, you crack them open, and they each have one item in them. So the end result was you got 100 reward items after 100 hunts. It's just sort of how that's distributed between the eggs dropping and the quantity of loot that you find within the egg. But with the maps being new, that kind of influences what the drop rate of some eggs should be as well, because that ties into, how quickly can a team complete a map. The new Extreme map was quite time consuming. Consider having a 10 people map next time. That was something that crossed our minds as well, seeing of what it could do with a party size map. Maybe that'd be a fun identity for the Extreme map if it is, lean into it being particularly challenging, but have more hunters be able to participate on. That's another option as well. Like to see an option to upgrade the egg maps to the party size to get through the hard ones faster. Yeah, some of it's just tricky setting up, and they technically become multiple maps, so we can't necessarily upgrade a map at the moment to add more slots. We'd have to create a brand new map that starts with that many from the beginning. Floating Islands, FL, all right. Yeah, something exactly. You all asked for it, but it became a polarizing egg. So it's just interesting things to think about. Valor Rift Egg Hunt, more items. You can elaborate on what you mean by that, Frank. Bring team competition back with a special egg as a present. Again, might need to elaborate. Not quite sure I understand what you're saying there. Andre showing feedback regarding maps is removing the spud egg from the easy map. Spending 2 days in the windmill not getting the egg is easy. That's interesting. That's maybe a good example of an egg that it might not be a guaranteed drop from the mouse, and it could come down to maybe what's inside the egg. So that's a good egg to add to the list of things to take a look at. Like I said, I think the Gate Guardian was on the list a little bit as well. So I kind of review those lists a little bit. You might have to, while it's fresh in everyone's mind, have to put together a bit of a list of eggs to look over next year, where it could maybe lower the rewards that you find inside the eggs to make the eggs not as rare of a drop. The shelter egg is too tiring, can't get it, help. That is part of its identity, and it's the type of egg, you should set your sights on maybe only getting that egg once, but there are some things you can do to help out. Some Galleon Gouda, you can start to stockpile that, but it is, in some ways, there's a few that are just a rite of passage on the years-long journey toward Eggmaster, and that is definitely one of the more significant eggs along that journey to Eggmaster. And that's part of what makes MouseHunt unique as well. Sometimes progress isn't measured in days, weeks, or months. Sometimes progress is measured in years. And that's part of the identity of the game. And there are some things that you will work on for years, and you'll take a little break, walk away from it, come back, start it up again a little bit later. Maybe you'll wait to have some supplies from an event, or wait to have a better trap and return to an area, and return to some of these long-term goals. There's some things you might complete really quickly, and then everybody has those things that it takes me a long time to complete, and it sort of makes every hunter's story unique. When you'll kind of sit around a table and talk about the things that you're able to do quickly and the things that just took you forever. It's in some ways it's a nice conversation point that everyone's answer to that question is a little bit different. The Dreller mouse and the Dreller egg, that is a tricky one. I feel like that is one of the better uses for the Hunter's Horn Rewind charms. If you're sitting on a few of those, cycling your generals can be a satisfying use of those. And it tends to be, I think that's maybe the only time I've used those charms, to be honest. My horn is ready. Let's see how we're doing here. All right, we're salting up. Slowly, I'm collecting some essences in the garden. Actually, Lunaria petals I'm low on. I'm looking to collect another, let's go 250. And I think I'll return to the Twisted Garden. Don't want to change the Rift Venom egg, for instance. Okay, yeah, we'd have to go on an egg-by-egg basis, and we'd take a look at the drop rate of the egg and the contents there within. So it'll be a bit of a task for us. I'm not quite sure how we're going to assemble that list of eggs to review, but it would be something that would be nice to do before the next spring egg hunt if the maps were to make a return. Get an easier way to open up large amounts of eggs. You got the Ultimate Egg Master, and now all the buttons scare you. Yeah, fair enough. That's part of the experience too, Potato. Just crack open a few every day. I think maybe is the advice there. I mean, if the Egg Sweeper interface does make it a little bit easier to open up a whole lot of eggs, it does remove a few of the clicks. So that's even food for thought for the interface where you open things could use a little bit of love. And that might be one of the many things on the long list of to-do items that we sometimes struggle to find the time to get around to. Trouble with the Shelter Egg is so rare, even with Galleon Gouda, that you can hunt a whole month and not get it. Certainly, yep, that egg has a very strong identity. I definitely would say that's an egg where you really only ever want to get that egg once. And it's a bit like hunting the leprechaun. You don't get to decide when that happens in some ways. The leprechaun decides when it's your turn. The Shelter Egg decides when it's your turn to loot that egg. It's definitely a memorable thing that a lot of hunters can discuss around for sure. You only did one egg map. You wanted 100% your egg collection first. That's always a good goal. And Darren loves the Shelter Egg as well. I think it's an interesting thing to think about. There's so many things in the game like that where the idea of them is they're just interesting to discuss. They become interesting, these like fabled rare items that are just interesting to discuss and ask everybody. Is like, how did your journey go there? And somebody's going to get it on their very first hunt. Somebody's going to get it on the 1,000th. And in some way they become these social moments to gather around with other players and discuss. So consider having a special reward for Eggmaster. We've intentionally avoided that. So because it is such an above and beyond goal, as soon as you add a reward to that type of goal in any game, it encourages more hunters to set that goal for themselves that otherwise wouldn't. And so I think it's best left as something you decide. Is that a sense of accomplishment that you're interested in achieving? As soon as you put a tangible reward on it, now there's sort of a carrot to, even if it's not a goal that's for you, you may still pursue it, and that introduces friction. You guys start to get players doing something that they don't want to do, and that kind of starts to be the enemy of fun sometimes a little bit. So there's certain things that I think are just best left as your own personal sense of accomplishment. Do you want to try to get a platinum crown for an extremely difficult, hard to hunt mouse? That's just the accomplishment is the reward in and of itself. I think that's a much better and healthier space for those types of things. What's the scoop on Jill? Well, I'll tell you what, before we get to looking that far ahead, we'll kind of put the egg hunt feedback there on hold. We will think of a way. I'm not quite sure how best to approach this, but I do somehow want to assemble a list of eggs to just put a little bit more under the magnifying glass next year. But that might be a problem we try to solve a little bit later, because I'm not sure the best way to go about doing that. But the King's Giveaway is just around the corner, and on that note too, it's going to begin in the exact moment that the Egg Hunt officially comes to a final closure where Lady's Lower Shop will be no longer and all the chocolatonium will decay away. That's on May 6th. So the King's Giveaway started on May 6th. If you haven't played the King's Giveaway before, or if you don't remember how it works, you'll be able to find prize keys. All the prize mice will be dropping prize keys in varied amounts. That is one change I believe we made last year. Whereas in the past, prize mice always dropped a key, and any mouse had a chance of dropping a key. And we tend to get a lot of bug reports saying, hey, this white mouse dropped a prize key. I think that's a bug you guys need to fix. I was like, no, that's working as intended. Now, all the mice have a chance to drop keys, but the prize mice are guaranteed to do so. We changed that. We increased the number of keys that the prize mice dropped to kind of remove that confusing element. So prize mice drop keys. The encounter rate of the prize mice as well goes through the roof. It's way, way higher than normal. That's the treasurer, the snooty, the high roller, the mobster, and even the leprechaun all have their encounter rates increased during a King's Giveaway. They drop prize keys. You need 10 of them to open up these prize packs, which unlock the King's Vault, and then you get to visit and pick one of 3 much more rewarding items. So every 10 keys, you get a special extra rewarding bonus. Seem to have good feedback finding this format of the event as well. So it seems like Hunters is something I've had a lot of fun with. A couple little items as well. Normally, whenever we do a King's Giveaway, King's Credits are a large identity of the event. It's a great time to earn Super Brie. It's a great time to earn King's Credits. You can get the Rainbow Scroll cases as well if you're interested in those, which is a great way to get some Rainbow Charms, which you can upgrade in the shop into Rainbow Spores as well if you're all set there. So we use that as an opportunity, because King's Credits are in the mix, to take a look at the King's Arms, the King's Calibrator, those sort of things that you can spend your King's Credits on. This year we're going to add Apprentice Alcalamic, I can't say that word, Apprentice Amber to the shop. We'll just shorten it to that. You'll be able to buy that from the King's Arms using your credits. So if you are in the School of Sorcery and looking to have a little bit of a boost there, you'll be able to use your King's Credits towards that. To the King's Calibrator, some new cheese options are coming as well. Beanster, which did I spell Beanster wrong there? No, it looks right. No, I'm missing the T. We spelled Beanster wrong. Beanster cheese and clam and bear. Sometimes spelling made up words can be extra difficult and challenging. Let's add the T to Beanster. Beanster? Is that how you spell Beanster? I've been talking too much. The cognitive part of your brain that's capable of spelling, I think, begins to shut down as you're speaking out loud. But Beanster and Clam and Bear will be added to the King's Calibrator, and Royal Loot Crates as well. I took a little look at those. They didn't have any Folklore Forest items, so we'll be adding some items from the Folklore Forest. I believe, if I recall, some beans, clams, maybe some seeds. I'm struggling to remember the exact list of items, but some of the resource items to help you along the way. But that's food for thought as well. Those will be added to the Royal Loot Crates, so if you have any crates in your inventory, or if you buy crates today, they won't have those items. If you wait until the giveaway starts, any crates in your inventory, when you open them, they will now have a chance to have Folklore Forest items there within. There are a couple of notes to keep in mind as well. Random, for your list of eggs, sure you can multiply the drop rate by the attraction rate, set a lower bound of average hunts. Yeah, it's a little bit of work involved for sure, but something like that would be how we would approach it. Ashley feels like most hunters aren't hunting the Gate Guardian Spud for the loots from the egg, only for the egg map progress. So once they got it, they move on. Yeah, exactly, fair enough. But let's not forget about lower level hunters as well. The Gate Guardian egg actually has a pretty decent amount of runes, to the point where if you got that egg a little bit more often, that would be probably a massive rune drop event going on. So you might just kind of take the edge off that a little bit, kind of lower the amount of runes in that egg, increase its drop rate. Again, that's just the first one that came to mind that we had jotted down on the list, so I'm using that as a bit of a working example. So we got the Aether egg for the first time this year. That's another tricky one. Not quite a Shelter egg. That's another tricky egg to find. And Captain got the Leprechaun last year, hoping for number 2. I think it took me 14 years. I forget. It was either 11 or it was 14 years. I wonder if it took 11 years for me to get a Leprechaun and I missed 14 times, or maybe it was my 14th encounter I finally caught it. But that's the fun part. Everyone's journey is a little bit different. There are hunters who caught a Leprechaun on their first year, and then there are others like myself that took over a decade to do it, and it becomes part of the fun story to share. And there are other aspects of the game that, I got lucky with, but the Leprechaun was not one, and that's part of the fun journey. Kyle Superbree, 1 in 167. I'm not quite sure if I follow what you're saying. Andres missed a Leprechaun last year, so don't have much hope to catch it this year. Well, that's part of the fun memories as well. There's a few mice that you remember every time you fail to catch it, and I think that adds to the story a little bit. MouseHunt has long been a game of patience and overcoming adversity through sheer determination and time. That's been part of its identity since day one, and I think part of what makes it feel special, although a little frustrating at times as well. It's like Beamster without the beans. Why can't you buy lantern oil from the King's cart? Hey, I've been kicking that around for a little bit. Lantern oil is an interesting item. It's an interesting resource. It's a little bit different from some of the other ones, but we've kind of, sometimes when we're not quite sure if it should change, then we kind of stick with the status quo as the default. Chance for the prize mice to drop a crate would be pretty cool. That's not a bad little fun bonus. You might not be sure if you want to spend your King's credits on crates. Sometimes it's fun just to get the item rather than the credits to then go and buy it. It's like, well, I may as well open it. That might, too, kind of, you get your feet wet. You stick your toe in the water to see what the temperature is like, to see if you want to go and buy a few of these crates, if that's something you want to use your King's credits on. That's not a bad idea. Genetically random, does the Leprechaun still give real cash these days? So yes, the Leprechaun drops loot. Either you get the mystery satchel of gold or the mystery pot of gold, and one of those has a chance of obtaining a cash prize as well. That was a change we made several years ago, just so more hunters could be capturing the Leprechaun as well. But otherwise, you get gold, you get there's some charms in there, you get Superbree, so there's some other prizes as well to get from the Leprechaun, but the cash is still a possible outcome. Jay-Z asking after the giveaway comes with any clue on the next area. Already looking. The giveaway hasn't started. We're looking at what comes after. Yeah, we could take a little look ahead in a moment as well. Matt, it took you 13 years for your first encounter and 14 for the first catch. See, isn't it just... There's something special about it. You can almost just recite that. It's a lasting memory. And there's as long as there's just a few things in the game that have that sort of identity, and they just that you remember it. You probably don't remember the first time you captured the bionic mouse or something, but the Leprechaun, that's what makes it special. You only get it from the pot and not the pouch. I believe it is, that sounds right to me. It's the mystery pot of gold has a chance of having a cash prize inside, and the mystery satchel does not. So you can get, I think, just gold and Superbree from that. You're wondering if the new Dragon Trap is worthwhile to upgrade to. Can't wait to see the next area. It is a bit of an above and beyond goal for sure, and in that even when you build that trap, the highest level Draconic area in the game is still the Draconic Depths, and it probably will be for the foreseeable future, I'd imagine. So there's not too many places to really put that to use. So it's a bit of a above and beyond goal to set. If you're inquiring about having any restrictions lifted from your account, support channel is the way to go. Unfortunately, I can't really help through this medium. So we can take a little look ahead as well, talking about the Draconic Depths. Looking ahead a little bit here. So, and actually I didn't update this. This is from 21 days ago. This was looking ahead. So I guess we're looking back on looking ahead. I don't know if that makes sense. But the King's giveaway is still to follow the spring egg hunt. That's coming on Tuesday. We did review the King's Skirt, the calibrator, That's actually a good note. We already mentioned how the Apprentice Amber, the Clam and Bear and Beanstir are being added, some new items for the Royal Loot Crates. But then after the King's Giveaway, and I don't think immediately upon the end of the King's Giveaway, but at some point after the King's Giveaway, Big Jack is making a return, and her sister, Little Jill, is going to be accompanying her and visiting the Draconic Depths. And we've been kind of workshopping ways to use that to address some feedback about the mythical dragon heart as well. As many hunters like rare, valuable items to kind of these difficult to acquire, super rare items. I think there's a bit of a correlation there as well. If you like doing, marketplace type things, you might be interested in those areas, but some hunters like a more slow, steady, guaranteed way of working toward goals as well. So we're using that opportunity to add something permanent to the Draconic Depths, to add an alternative path. So if you don't like chasing after a rare drop to obtain a rare and valuable item, there'll be a way to just work toward it. And so you can make a little bit of progress every time. You're a little bit closer, and it may even take a little bit longer, but you'll get there as well. So we're still kind of workshopping that a little bit, and probably some more details to follow once the King's Giveaway is live, but essentially adding a new twist on that gameplay, something new you can do with your Replicart. Rather than just keep the loot or burn the loot into embers, you can do something else with it, and that item you'll be able to acquire a mythical dragon heart once you have a very large quantity of that item. So it really kind of adds something to the end of the loop, and you kind of put in a little extra effort to be getting your embers flowing, finish the elemental cavern, and then instead of getting embers, you can choose to make some progress towards a guaranteed mythical dragon heart. So we'll probably go into a little bit more detail once the giveaway is live, but we're going to introduce that with Little Jill. And as part of the event that introduced Little Jill, some bonus loot drops as well. Fun chance to be able to interact with that new mechanic a little bit more easily while Little Jill's here. But then once she leaves, that'll be a permanent upgrade to the Draconic Depths as a whole. There'll just be this permanent way that you can make guaranteed progress towards a mythical dragon heart even after Jill leaves. Jill's just a fun way to introduce it and have some bonus drops so you can jump right into an elemental cavern and try out that gameplay sooner than later. Even if you're not quite entirely prepared to do an elemental run, Little Jill will help get you ready for an elemental run a little bit quicker. Wait, Ronza, what about Ronza? No news from her as of yet. We usually don't get too much information from her until she's pretty well en route to the kingdom. So who knows? I think she does okay for herself when she sets up her shop. I'd imagine there's good motivation for her to visit and sell some wares. But so I think you'll see her at some point. No teaser on the content of those changes. That might be a bit of an old comment as I get caught up on chat, but that's about as much info as we have to share right now. I'm hoping as well that we'll be able to share some screenshots, but basically the Replicart, having something brand new you can do with it, a third choice you can make. Keep the loot, burn the loot, incinerate the loot, and do something new with that resource to be able to purchase a mythical dragon heart from the general store. That's kind of it in a nutshell, and we'll kind of go into a little bit more detail as the giveaway rolls out. Do you have to pick a path, or you'll get there eventually if your luck is bad? Yes, that's your choice to make. You can either keep chasing the Dragon Emperor to find it as a drop, or you can say like, no, I would prefer to go slow and steady. And so eventually you'll just get there. It's like sand dollars in the sunken city. Eventually you have enough, you can get the processor from the shop, or you can keep going after Tritus and try to get it as a drop. And it kind of plays into your strategies of, well, do I prioritize sand dollars or do I prioritize other materials? Do I prioritize jets? Do I go after the zones with Tritus in it, which is eluding my memory right now? Or do I go after the treasure zones for sand dollars? Because you can't get them both at the same time, so you have to kind of make a choice there. Do I want to go and hunt the boss, try to get it as a drop, or do I want to target something else to make slow and steady progress towards one? And it's kind of that way, no matter what your preference is, there's a gameplay style that you can find your groove with. Any update on the progress of the Folklore Forest finale? So that is coming along as well. You can kind of see a little bit of concept art from long ago. Hopefully we can actually start maybe sharing a few little sneak peeks of the mice and even the HUDs there. But that's coming along. That's coming along well. As you can imagine, it's a fairly large project. We're kind of thinking about still how best to split it up, kind of what order of operations to go in there in terms of what gets released when. But it's coming along well. Yeah, the team's been doing a great job putting together the interfaces, the mice, the characters, working on some items, but there's quite a few that go into it. At least this phase of it, we're aiming for it to span more than one area, and we're kind of deciding, well, what's the good pace of those areas to roll out in, to kind of give it that finale feel. In the way you can think of, other areas where you got to visit more than one location to collect some stuff, and then it all ties together. In some ways, it's nice. It can end in a similar way that it begins. It begins with those 3 areas at the start, and it can end again with something a little bit more substantial, where you hunt in more than one area. We also have a similar thing for the rib with this, with the heart update. No plans to change the rib. I mean, the rib has had some other ways of obtaining it as well as the years have gone by. And that's always the case with every game, with everything that comes out. It's not in its final version of it. The game evolves and changes over time. I think that's what adds to the fun. To MouseHunt as well. It's a game that sees updates on the regular, and it kind of just changes up how some items work, how you obtain some items, and the strategy evolves and changes a little bit over time, and has something fun to talk about as well with fellow hunters as kind of updates come out, and to reevaluate how you want to approach your hunting strategies. Any news on the Queso Cannon Storm base coming back in non-LE version? I don't think so. That's not quite on the docket, at least anytime in the short term, but it is something we kick around now and then. Any plans to change anything about Jack? No, I'm trying to just from memory. I don't believe so. Nothing comes to mind. So if there was something substantial, usually it's easy to remember. But no, I don't think there's anything necessarily new about Jack. You can trade up your leaves into their spicier versions. She's got the blooming spice plants as well. Bonus loot drops of the bland queso kegs as well. So, if you're hunting in the area, you can get a little bit of bland queso flowing. But, it depends on your hunting style. If you're new to the area, you're probably going to spend a lot of time hunting there, collecting some of the kegs, maybe doing some exchanges as you loot. If you've sort of, been there, seen that in the Queso Canyon region, then you might quickly pop in and do a little bit of a leaf exchange, and then you're kind of done. It's like you went out and did your shop. Little Jill has the same vibe to it as well. There's some things to purchase from the shop. There's not as much upgrading, just doesn't have the same tiers of resources that the Queso Canyon had. And then some bonus loot drops as well. She has her own versions of those kegs that you're going to be able to collect. Trevor with some ambitions as well, also, but yeah, definitely as event season has been rounded out, it's been great to see positive feedback from a lot of the updates to some of the events, and certainly it'd be nice to maybe reimagine a few of them. They do. It's nice to try something new every now and then, also, but that's also freed us up to be working on other projects as well. The Folklore Forest finale being a large undertaking. As you can imagine, there's only so many of us. We're a small team, and it's tricky to make those tough decisions of how do we spend our limited time. I often fantasize about, wouldn't it be nice if we just had unlimited time? That would be nice. I can just work on lots of fun things. Here, you think the Draconic Depths was probably the spring egg hunt's most popular area. You know what? Why don't we check? I'm not logged in. All right, let me see. Hold on. We're going to see if we can log in to check. We are going to see if we can check what the most popular area was during the spring egg hunt. And then I think it's time for the trivia question. And we can wrap things up. Hey, I got the password right. All right. When did the spring egg hunt start and when did it end? So, spring egg hunt has begun. News post by Chris on April 1st. Oh, right. Happy April Fool's Day. Here's an event. All right, let's check out. We're going to go from April 1st. April is the 4th month. First day of the 4th month. And it ended on April 28th. All right, on the 4th month, the 28th day. So let's see, what was the most popular area? Yep, that holds up. That logic holds up. So the Draconic Depths was the most popular area during that time span, with 20% of players at least took one hunt in the Draconic Depths. 19% of players took at least one hunt in the Floating Islands. Bountiful Beanstalk is in number 3 at 9% of players were in the Beanstalk, or at least did something in the Beanstalk. I bet you the maps helped spread people out a little bit as well. Probably gave some love to some areas that were perhaps would otherwise be a little less popular. The School of Sorcery at 8%. Valor Rift at 7%. Table of Contents at 5.5%. The Meadow with 5%. I think that's mostly new players trying the game for the first time is probably where that's coming from. The Labyrinth just under 5%. Queso Geyser just under 5%. Bristlewood's Rift at 4%. Prologue Pond at 4%. Mousy Pichu at 4%. This gives me the vibe that 3 or 4% of players were probably doing maps, because there was a lot of areas around the 3 to 4% mark of visiting. Doesn't go down to 2% till you get to the Seasonal Garden, Fort Rocks, Fungal Cavern, King's Gauntlet, to under 2% of players. Fewer than 1 in 50 players hunted in Cantera Quarry. And the least popular area was the Super Brief Factory with 0% of players. That's surprising. Let's scroll up a little bit. King's Arms was the least popular area during that time period, with just 0.3% of players took any hunts in the King's Arms. So there we go. There's the stats blitz for this week. What's the most looted egg during the spring egg hunt? I don't think we have that handy anywhere. That would be a fun little trivial stat to see as well. Terry asking, will the final expansion be Law type? It's the last non-Rift power type not represented. We'll see. It may not all come out all in one blast, so we'll see. Stay tuned. It's a little bit early to go into too many details, but there are many power types, and eventually it would be nice to cover them all. Minus Rift. Rift is kind of... Rift's on its own in a special category. Matt, you sent a suggestion. Want to hear your thoughts on allowing hunters to pick and choose what they want to keep or burn from the replica cart. It's quite an intentional decision that you have to make that choice. And it's with a lot of games, sometimes the fun part is having to make a difficult decision. And sometimes if you can just do whatever you want to do, stuff starts to become a little less interesting. I mean, think about games you've played, and maybe you can turn on Infinite Gold or something. I'd assume it's a single player game if that option is available to you, or you can remove restrictions, and it's fun for a little bit. But sometimes limitations are what create creativity, and creativity is often what leads to fun. So it's something that crossed your mind, even like some sort of item that lets you sort of grab something out of the cart so you don't have to burn it. But ultimately, it was just way less fun. It was that, hey, you take that screenshot of the cart, it's like, oh, I was planning on burning this cart. But then look, I got like 3 ultimate charms and 5 teeth. What? Really? I think I gotta keep this cart, or it's one more reason to come back and take a peek in the replica cart. I was like, well, I got something good. Maybe I'll end my run a little bit early so I get to keep it, and then I'll plan to burn my next cart. And that sets up those fun scenarios too, where it's like, it happened again. Suffering from success. I got another good item in that replica cart, and I wanted to burn this one. So it introduces some of those fun, quirky scenarios, and I don't know. I think it would be a lot less special and interesting if you were able to walk around that at all and avoid having to burn something good sometimes. Adam thinks the School of Sorcery needs some love. You think the area is completely neglected when you look for other areas in the forest. Maybe you could expand a little bit on that sentiment, right? I mean, hunters aren't going to be... There's not always a reason to hunt everywhere at all times in perpetuity, right? And it was definitely even the scope of that area. It was meant to be a little bit of an in-between. So there's a very important upgrade to pick up there as well, getting the Sapphire bases. Depending on how your Prestige base looks, that's a pretty important upgrade to pick up. But there's plenty of areas like that as well, where you might visit it again for a map. And it's part of the reason too, I think a lot of hunters enjoy having rare, valuable items, because it gives those long-lasting for years to come, you can just remember there's something very special about that area because there's a rare item there. You know, there's a reason why kind of the term rib rolls off the tongue a little bit more than, say, a queso chisel or a smoldering stone. You know, those ones feel a little less special. So, but again, it's kind of about the pacing of it, just peppering those in every now and then. What are they doing in the King's Arm? Seriously, there might be some niche mice to pick up. I don't know if you're working on a map, looking for a particular egg. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know. Or maybe just popped in, made a quick little purchase, and you happen to get a trap check while you're stopping in at the King's Arms if you didn't want to use the King's Card. Hard to say. Jeremy, you're ready for the guaranteed method to arrive after hunting many Dragon Emperors. Well, if it's any consolation too, the Dragon Emperor does give quite a bit of gold when you capture it. You're probably amassing quite a few opals. It's maybe a nice reminder as well. Check your inventory, how many opals you have. You might be able to go to the general store, get a lot of condensed creativity as well, and kind of keep on trucking, either keep on going ahead, or you could sell that condensed creativity on the marketplace as well. And in a way, that's a slow and steady way to earn your way toward a heart as well. If you just keep farming opals to buy condensed creativity to sell on the marketplace, you know, gold is that option as well to eventually you have enough gold to unlock one. And I think with each passing day, you know, there's more hearts. The supply and the demand changes a little bit. But again, it might come down to, I think, hunters who like watching supply and demand and that type of thing. If they're really interested in the player-to-player interactions, they tend to like those rare, valuable items a little bit more. So, you know, that we wanted to address that feedback as well and add an alternative gameplay style. So hopefully then, you know, whether camp you're in, if you prefer that sort of style, or if you prefer a more slow and steady, you can kind of pick and choose your way forward there. Well, on that note, I said we'd get to the trivia here. What is it? It is 43 minutes in here. So today's trivia question has a little something to do with the giveaway because it's about prize mice and which two mice used to be prize mice? My speaking abilities are beginning to fade as time goes on here. I think we're getting a little bit of fatigue. Might be lunchtime or another coffee. We'll see. Any changes to the vaults? We took a look, but nothing came to mind. Nothing stuck out to us. So again, it's something we'll keep our ear to the ground, and we often log it during the giveaway for next year. So, you know, something we'll be thinking about. Please consider a Folklore Forest Grand Tour map. I agree, that sounds awfully fun. We'll have to kind of wait for all the areas to come out. But that's been something that we've been thinking about a little bit as well. I gotta sound my horn. Nid, it is not 67. Peter, any plans to make the compressed jet stream more accessible? You're getting low on mice to silver. Well, that's part of, you know, it's a good bonus. You can't have everything turned on at all times, right? A resource is only interesting if you have to manage it. So there are ways to get that jet stream though. That's what makes, you know, even when the winter hunt rolls around, that's why it's interesting. You know, I was like, well, maybe I try to get some more compressed jet streams from here. So the Master Burglar and the Burglar, close. Potato has half the right answer. The Master Burglar was one of those mice, and it looks like Dallas is the first to have the second correct answer. Did anyone get them both right? I think Tarako was the first to say them both in the same breath, although he didn't put the word master in front of burglar. It's the Rockstar and the Master Burglar. Both used to be prize mice. Maybe the Master Burglar, a little bit stronger identity in the prize mouse category, but the Rockstar mouse as well used to win a gift card for capturing the Rockstar mouse long ago. Probably in 2008 was the last time it worked that way. But so the Master Burglar, I think, had a longer time span of being a prize mouse, and actually for a while it was a grand prize when the identity game was quite different. For quite a while, there was only one person in the entire game who had ever caught a Master Burglar. It was like that was the only one that ever existed for a while. But I'll put this in the chat for easier clicking convenience. And with a giveaway around the corner, it's a giveaway related item. You can easily click it in the chat as well. And there's some King's credits on the other side of that reward link. Truly a Master Burglar. Was it the Rockstar that gave iTunes gift cards? It was, yeah. But that proved to be very problematic way back, and all the way back in 2008 when it was just a little simple game. I think even the original design was like, well, there's just going to be a bronze, silver, and gold mouse. You know, and the gold one's rare and the bronze one's common. And you just collect them on your Facebook profile. You'd have a little box on your Facebook profile way back when apps could add things to your profile, where you could see your collection of those 3 mice. And thought, well, what's going to make the game kind of fun, make people come in and check in on it, and it would be to win cash prizes. We thought that was kind of the original pitch for it. And then as our imaginations and creativity ran wild, we found a lot more fun aspects to the game than that, and make the world a lot more immersive than just having 3 generic mice. It is not a rib, Nid. You know as well as I that Larry is incapable of giving out a rib. It is hard-coded to not happen. A ripped version of Zugzwang's Tower, right? I mean, never say never. We have to kind of wait and see as everything plays out. But I think it would end at the Twisted Garden. Maybe might be where the storyline ends. But who knows? Who knows? There's some sort of rough plans, but as kind of the years go by and we look back at those rough plans, we often change our mind a little bit, often influenced by feedback of other releases and what's working, what's not working in any one given moment. So it's hard to commit to anything years down the road. A happy accident. Unknown, you were telling your friend about the older prize mice just last night, eh? It's so long ago. It feels forever ago. Do not make a trap with Zugzwang's rib from what you remember that was a person. Yeah, there's a little bit of a reference. There's a little mystery to unlock there when it comes to Zugzwang. Can you still catch the original version of the Master Burglar in the salt mines? I haven't thought about the salt mines in a while. How rich is the king to date, eh? That would be kind of interesting to track down. I mean, he's the one paying all the hunters as well. You got to think, when you capture a mouse and you earn gold, that's payment from the king. So, I don't know, income in and income out, I guess. Schoolwork, welcome on in. You missed the first part of Feedback Friday. Some feedback for the spring egg hunt. The M1000 and Mythical Dragon Egg seem way too strong, and Balloon the event boosting from mild to crazy all of a sudden. It's something we put under the microscope, and I don't know. I think the math checks out okay. They're good. They're pretty good eggs, but when we kind of ran the numbers on them, they didn't seem too scary. And often we could try to find that sweet spot where it seems a little too good. It's like, I don't know, this might be a little bit too good. And then we kind of run the numbers and we're like, no, I don't think it isn't. And that's often a nice spot where emotionally it feels, the perception is this is really fun. These are really fun eggs to crack open and see what you get. But then when you kind of long-term kind of splot out all the averages and everything, it's like, well, it all kind of comes out in the wash at the end. That's kind of usually a pretty happy spot to try to find that balance whenever we can. It's not always possible. But it's interesting. Even when the Floating Islands eggs first came out, we had similar feedback. Like, this is just bonkers. What's going on here? And sometimes it just feels extra special when something's brand new. And as the years go by, it loses its luster a little bit for obvious reasons. You completed up some of the goals there, and you're moving on to something else as well at the same time. So it's just kind of interesting. It's feedback that kind of comes up year after year. And I think some of it is just with things being new, they feel extra special, and it kind of underlines, puts an exclamation mark on the rewards a little bit. Matt, you started playing the day your daughter was born in 2009, and she's 16 now. You have a very memorable way of knowing when you started playing the game. Why do the Sky Pirates mess with Ronza if the king is clearly the richest among them all? Eh? Well, she's up there in the sky. The king seems to be in a pretty fortified position there in the castle. I don't know, the Sky Pirates, I guess they don't like to land. I guess they like to stay up in the sky. They like the aerial warfare more than land warfare, something. And Jeremy with a similar story. How is Larry related to Ronza? I do not think there's any relationship. I don't think there's any familiar relationship there. They're not like they're brother and sister or anything. Unknown, you're surprised Master Burglar used to be near impossible. Its identity definitely changed, found a new spot for that character. And there you go, Area speculating you can't fight the King's Harpoons. And it being too solidified in that castle, it's impervious to an aerial assault maybe. We can speculate on why the pirates are keeping their distance from the King. Well, hunters, what are we at? We're coming up on the hour mark. That's usually a pretty good signal for me to wrap things up. Thank you for joining me this week. Quick recap too, like I said, we'll be keeping our ear to the ground for spring egg hunt feedback. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to maybe get a little bit of a short list of eggs that we can tuck away for next year, probably January or something like that. Pull up a list of eggs for those egg hunts and think, okay, are there some that maybe need to be removed from maps, some with now in a version of the event that has maps, maybe make them more common, not as rare of a drop. Look at those rewards. Maybe the contents of the eggs need to shrink down a little bit if we're going to make the egg drop more often. So that's something I'm still tinkering with, the best way to come up with that list and sit down and do that work. King's Giveaway coming March 6th. That's when your chocolatonium will also evaporate into nothingness. If there's any chocolatonium in your inventory, do me a favor and go spend it right now. Just don't even wait to May 6th because inevitably many hunters forget to do that. And it's just, fair warning here. Do it before. Do it while you can. Take care of that. So look forward to the King's Giveaway coming. As well as Big Jack and her sister, Little Jill, will be coming to the kingdom in the not too distant future. That's kind of everything we went over this week. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. It'll maybe be Jacob next week, unless there's something I'm forgetting about, like a holiday like I forgot about last time. But if not, we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Happy hunting, everybody.
2.
You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cruel. Just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe.